Hello, hello, hello. Welcome for another episode of Author Spotlight. Hey, it's your host with the most, your main man, Darren M. Palmer. Excited to be with you where I go behind the scenes with best-selling authors from across the globe. Today, we got my girl and Brielle Mabrey in the building. Say hello to everyone, Brielle.
Hello, hey.
Awesome, awesome. We glad to have you here today. If you don't mind, Brielle, please share it with those who are tuned in just a little bit. They will have the information in the show notes to go and do a deep dive, but share a little bit about who you are and why did you write this as your first book?
Yeah, honestly, I consider myself to be just a regular middle class Black millennial. um, Nothing particularly stellar in terms of my trajectory as it relates to this book. Have just been, fortunate to, go to college, go to grad school, get a solid, six-figure job, and then just try to figure it out. And so that's really that journey that caused me to get to a place where I was like, okay, let's write about this because, even though it seems somewhat nondescript in the journey, when you start at a place of poverty and then you move into a place of abundance and you do that with the different societal and personal and educational, roadblocks that come up, it becomes a little bit extraordinary. So, in full-time life, I'm a legal technology consultant. I've been fortunate to have success in that field. I've been working there for in that field since I graduated college. And now I've just really delved into, financial coaching and, wealth encouragement, really, with the authorship of this book.
And share the name of the book.
So the name of the book, I have it right here, is Seven Figure Net Worth, Modern Wealth Blueprint for Black Americans. Us.
Okay, let's dive deeper in that. For one, I just want to say kudos to you for taking it to the next level, to the next step, not just getting caught up in just being comfortable and just saying it's all about me. I got mine. I hope you get yours. So the first thing that I want to extract out of what you share for those who are tuned in is the importance of being selfless. You got to have an element of selflessness to be able to create content and do what it takes to put a book out without having a big enough why. And I'm not going down the woo-woo trail there, but it's true. It's so easy because when it comes to time and money, two things that you need to be able to do. So you're not thinking that this is not proper grammar, but as we say, you can hear the Southern drawl like Tim McGraw. With me being from Texas, you can understand that the graveyard is full of the best books because there are people who are fixing to, or they finna do something and they don't ever get around to doing it. So what we're seeing here with Brielle, by moving forward, she knows that, hey, I can give back. I can help others. I can be beneficial for some and share them what my journey was like, or some tips and things that could be able to help assist them, allow for the journey to be easier for us, them moving forward to accomplish their dreams and their goals. So for those who are tuned in and listening to this, whether it's a book, whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's a ministry situation that you're looking at, or if you, I like to call it, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're under the umbrella of a corporate entity and you want to move forward and assist and take your department to the next level or move up in your career, these are all things that are tangible steps that Brielle is sharing with us that can be of assistance to you. Now, Brielle, I know it's one thing for you to be able to say that I want to do a book, but with your life, some of them, some of the people right now, I can hear it right now on the air where some are thinking like, oh my goodness, she had all that going on, working full time, and she did a book. This is not private English, but child, I don't know if I'd be able to do it. I'm trying to make it. So
Yeah.
with that being said, Brielle, share with those, how did you make the transition from going from I want to write a book to I'm writing a book? Can you tell us how you was able to overcome some of those mental hurdles to get started?
Yeah. So transparently, I don't know that I ever had a moment of I want to write a book. I laugh and I tell people on my 2020 vision board, writing a book was never on that. I wasn't one of those people that have been carrying this, for years. It was just something when I saw the Black Lives Matter movement and the protests and everything going on, I just started to ask myself, well, how can I contribute? And initially, one of the things that I've done for years, just on the side, very passionate about, is business coaching. And so I really just kept feeling like, okay, well, Black entrepreneurship is the way to go. Let me really dive into business coaching. And the Holy Spirit just would not let me go on it. I just felt like God was just like, no, personal finance. And I'm like, personal finance, who, me? I'm not the personal finance person. And so for me, the process was actually very quick. So from the concept to publication was probably less than 6 months. And I just started writing. I don't know, there was just so much in my heart and my mind. And once I just started writing, it got out there. And so I got, the one thing that I will say that really helped me was I got an accountability partner. So I asked one of my friends, and, we all have that friend that is always on time, that don't play about their money, that is just on it. So my husband has helped me to be better about time, but if it were left up to me, I'm gonna, be 2 minutes right before, that type of thing. I'm pushing the, envelope. I'm that type of person. So I hired one of my friends to be my editor. And so for 7 weeks straight, I had deadlines with her. And so I would wake up early. I woke up at pretty much 5:45. My husband would laugh and be like, I endeavored most days to wake up at 5:45. And before my work day started at 9, I would be writing and doing those type of things. And then at night, I would research, different things. And she was like, at 5 o'clock on Friday, I had to give her the information. And so, she's the type that at 5:01 was like, where is it? So that was really helpful for me. And then we met every Saturday to kind of discuss, developments and things like that. And it was an ugly process. So now I'm a part of an authors group, and they're like, start with the outline and do this and write 3 key phrases and all that. And I respect that, but let me just throw all the paint on the wall. Let me empty everything I have out. And then when I was done, I looked at it and was like, oh, shoot, I hadn't talked about credit scores. There was just other little things that I realized were the gaps. And so then I had to go back and fill the gaps, because I'm like, you can't write, a book about net worth for Black folks and not talk about credit scores. So there's just certain foundational things that you just, have to do. And so I just, went through the process. And I think the biggest thing for me was I was fortunate enough to be in a position to hire some of my friends. So once I was done with that process of writing, then I hired one of my friends to be a project manager for the publication process. And so she's another one of those. She don't play. She works, with the Big Four in accounting, and she is on it. So we had our Trello board, we had our weekly meetings. And so that just really helped me to have that accountability around me, and then and push it forward. And then the other thing was I created a deadline for myself. I wanted to release it on my birthday. I ended up backtracking because I was like, nobody wants that stress on their birthday. So I did it 2 or 3 days before my birthday, and people around me were like, well, what's the hurry? What's the rush? And I was like, listen, I just need to get it done. I need to get it out there. If you look in it now, you'll see there's typos. It's not perfect. I still need to go back and edit some things, but it is out there. And, look, progress over perfection. It's still impacting lives. People are still giving good feedback, finna fix into grammar, edits, errors, sentences that don't quite make sense. I read some stuff and I'm like, ooh, I need to go back and fix that. But people are getting the point. So that was really how I was able to kind of, be obedient and birth it out pretty quick.
Wow. I'm telling you, my girl Brielle is just definitely dropping value bombs for us today. So much to unpack there. For one, you have to get started. And what I mean by that is making a decision. She made a decision. And so it allowed for her to, this is why core values are important. So now that became a value to her to get this done. And so now the other decisions were no brainers, because she knew, okay, hey, I need to do the next step. I don't have to know it all yet, but let me do the next step. What I can at least do is go ahead and have the commitment that I'm going to create content, or get someone that I know that's going to hold me accountable. Not, hey girl, get to it when you get to it. Hey, what, let's go to happy hour. No, let's get this done. If you choose to go to happy hour, or if you choose to go to Bible study, whatever it is that you're going to do, it doesn't matter to me, but make sure that you're committed to doing it. So I just want to say kudos to you for even getting someone as an accountability, because that's definitely something that's imperative to get a book done. And why we're bringing this up is because there are those out there who have amazing stories, or you have information in your field that could be beneficial for people. But if you don't go ahead and get some systems in place that will allow for you to give birth to that book or to that project or to that endeavor that you're embarking on, you'll never be able to get it. So just depending on you, it's just like, I want to be in shape, but I'm hiding out, I'm watching Netflix, eating hot Cheetos all day with wind pants on. That's not
Yes.
going to do it. But when you got that accountability, when people know what you're doing, you done got a train, you've gotten a trainer, you're posting what you're doing daily on your social media, whatnot. It's a little bit harder to hide from that, even though it might be uncomfortable at times. But when you see the results, you're like, oh man, it was good that I was afflicted or whatnot. And so when you hear that and understand that, that's important. And I also want to just go into the part where you were sharing, it's okay, progression over perfection. I want people to hear that in the back. Progression over perfection. I know you sound super deep and you can convince yourself. You can deceive yourself. Yes, I'm talking to you out there. You can deceive yourself into believing that you're super deep, but you don't know, Brielle and Darren. I'm so passionate about what I do. My name is going to be on it. And you don't understand it. When I put something out there, I'm for real about mine. I'm going to, hey, I understand that. And we appreciate you being serious about your excellence. Definitely, we appreciate that. But you have to think of this, just like someone who's starving, they don't care about you putting your favorite sauce on top of the sandwich.
Yep.
They need something to eat to be able to give them some nutrition. The same thing is when you're looking at doing a book. If it's that business owner, if it's someone who needs that information so they can be able to get into their dream home, or to even be able to start a starter home by having the right credit score, and you can give them some tips on some things that they've been messing up on. If it's that couple and they're looking at, hey, how can we build the type of wealth and break generational curses so we can be able to pass generational blessings on to our kids and so on for years to come. This is important. This is life and death. This is legacy at stake. So no matter the errors in there, I got somebody else that some of you might have heard of. I think it's like around 60 something books that this guy has done now. When you look at John Maxwell, every single book that I've read of John Maxwell, I see errors in it.
Yep.
But does that stop the impact of John Maxwell and his organization across the globe? No. Are people still writing John Maxwell checks and he can't even stand up to do a presentation? Yes. Is he still selling out? Yes. So I know you sound super deep, but you haven't created as many books as John Maxwell. You're not getting written checks like John is getting checks being written to John, and he's still able to make an impact and touch lives across the globe in different languages. So what Brielle is sharing with you is something that is very important for those out there. I even got some people right now, Brielle, just working on a project. They're just ongoing and ongoing. They nitpicking, they finding this. Get it out there. You can always make a change. Now, I'm not saying willingly just go out. If you see that a sentence should have a period at the end of it, you just look right past it and go on about your business. No, we're not saying that. We're not condoning that, because I know somebody out there, I feel it in my spirit, somebody out there.
I had 2 rounds of editors. I did. It just still wasn't perfect at the end, but it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. The information is still valuable. Now, with that being said, you're going through this, you get it done. Okay. Can you share with us, what did that mean to you holding the book in your hand? And also, can you share with us some of the things that family, friends, and loved ones, what it meant to them, knowing that you are a published author now?
Yeah, I think the greatest impact was with my daughters. They were so, and continue to be so excited and so proud of their mom. They are 5 and 8, and the book is dedicated to them. And they are 2 of my biggest promoters. I got bookmarks printed and they took them to their school and told everybody about it. Their teachers wrote me emails like, you got 2, amazing promoters. And my 5-year-old the other day did a little picture book, and she's very bright. And she said, "Mommy, I wrote a book because you inspired me that if you could write one, then I could write one too." And she was like, "I don't know how to write words yet, so it's just all pictures." But that was so impactful. just in terms of, you know, what it meant. And, you know, they're like, mommy's famous, mommy's a celebrity, you know. I'm like, not really, maybe like, you know, in my hood, but that has been significant. I think from a content perspective, I'm the youngest in my generation of all my cousins. So my mom had me at 34. So I'm like the youngest of all of my cousins in my lineage of like 13 of us. And when I was doing my beta reading period, I shared it with some of my cousins, and they were so excited about the content, about the finance, you know, perspective, about breaking the generational curses. One of my cousins who was like, listen, I don't even read like that. She said, I was up till 3 o'clock, and she's like, and I did the worksheets. Like, she was getting in there. Two of my cousins read it, and then they said they were going to read it with their spouses. And so, you know, usually people say, well, you can't be a prophet in your own land, or when you're the baby, you know, they don't always like listen to you. So I felt like I'm like the little one that used to be running behind all my big cousins. So for them to actually like take the book and apply the concepts and apply the principles. And one of my cousins was like, this is just as valuable as Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And, you know, like it was just very affirming. Because I knew they weren't saying it like just because it was me, because we come from a very blunt family. Ain't nobody gonna blow your head up for no reason. They're gonna tell you like it is. And so it was just amazing. So for me, I was like, you know what, if I did nothing else with this book, but just share the tea to my younger sisters, share the tea to my immediate family of everything that I've learned on our wealth journey and our journey to become, you know, fully debt free and all of those things, then I think that was kind of a value. And now, you know, the impact obviously has continued. And so I get other people letting me know things. One of my friends' mom, even though it's targeted for millennials, one of my friends' mom called me and just was like, you know, I just want to tell you, I like the way the book feels. I like the colors. I like the worksheet. She was like, I'm 60, but I can still learn something. I'm reading this stuff and this stuff is good, you know? So when you're inside your own head and you're inside your own journey, you're thinking like, man, does anybody even care? Like, the crazy thing was I wasn't one to talk about really finance or wealth building. Like, you wouldn't have been like, oh, she's a finance person. Oh, it makes sense that she wrote that. I wasn't that person. So it was almost literally outside of us working with our financial coach, just stuff in my head. And then I just put it all in the book, stuff me and my husband had talked about, or things we had learned along the way. So it was my first time really sharing all of these things. And so it was really uncomfortable because I was like, is anybody gonna care what's in my head? Like, is anybody gonna care about my journey? Is it really gonna make an impact? And I would say several tearful, impactful, heartfelt conversations later, it's just like, you just really never know. Like, I mean, obviously God knew, but you personally really never know like how your journey, how your story, how your acquired knowledge can change or impact others. So it's been a phenomenal impact around me. I'm still surprised by it. Every single positive review on Amazon, I'm like, oh gosh, somebody else liked it. So yeah.
That's amazing. And you know, for those out there who are wondering right now, it's when you hear spill the tea, that's an African American colloquialism for it, sharing information and passing it down for those there. I don't want nobody lost in the translation there. So for the people who are listening to, when she's talking about spilling the tea, she's sharing the information, or street terms, she's giving a good game out there for people to be able to understand and be able to glean from it so they can implement that strategy in their own lives or whatnot. So right now, I don't want to miss this because I think it's important for us to be able to share this. When you brought up like the Black Lives Matter movement, or the situation that was going on with the country right now, and I think it need to be celebrated, the method that you did. Um, of course, there's changes and things that need to be done, and I understand that. But for you to take the approach that you did, and I think this is something that's not highlighted, is not put in the media. But when you wanted to make a change, and like I said, it's not to be controversial, this is just being honest. You chose to say, hey, I can control the controllables. Okay. You
Yep.
know, I don't I don't have to, my thing might not be marching, but I still can contribute.
Yep.
I don't have to, not knocking anybody. Your thing is your thing. Don't send me no hate mail. I don't have to tear down a statue, but I can do this. I can keep my job and still be a part of bringing awareness to certain things that we need to discuss. And I just believe that just how my grandmother would teach me how to do it is that it's a right and a wrong way to do anything. And so, so by you having your voice being shared that way, and then being able to hear the testimonials or whatnot of your children or whatnot, your girls, I believe 8 and 5, and what they're doing. Look at the positive impact. For so some who are there, it's about paradigm shift. So I know we can get emotional and things like that, but this is something else, and I can tell this about you that you're in the Word. There's nothing in the Bible that talks about. There's nothing in the Bible that says about how you feel. It's nowhere in there. So all this feeling, your feeling can change from one moment to the next. So that's not an anchor that you can go by. So if you want to make sure that you have strategy, you being emotional is irrational. Not saying we don't have emotions. Don't shoot me. We all have
Yep.
emotions. So,
All the ladies are like, wait, don't be
yeah,
calling
wait
my
a minute.
emotions
Don't be all
irrational.
up there on International Women's Month and you talking like that, Darren. Okay. So I'm not saying that's to everybody, because we're in a touchy feely time right now. But at the same time, I want those who are listening to this of sharing. This is a way that you can make an impact, whatever that thing is, whether it's your local charity or something that you think need to be brought attention to, start nonprofits. If it's some about financial peace or whatnot and creating generational wealth like Brielle has been able to do, understand it. And I can't make this up, what you shared for us, the testimonials and what it meant. But me owning a publishing company, blessed to own a publishing company, what you just shared is the reason that I have the passion that I have.
Mm.
And when you operate with purpose, and then it leads to passion fuels you. How can you get enough? And then it becomes profitable for all those who are involved. How can you get enough of hearing stories of your 8-year-old and your 5-year-old, the reviews, what it meant for people who don't even read like that to read your materials, those who are going to be actually 100 with you or whatnot, 100, they're going to be 100 with you or tell the truth to you about this. And for you to create that and the ripple effect of making them or freeing them to try things, whether it's go back and get a GED, whether it's somebody who's going to get a master's, whether it's someone who's going to go for a promotion or go for a management position that they wouldn't have went for because they saw their little cousin or they saw someone that they know, like, and trust in their community go and accomplish a great feat. So for those who are listening to this, even though I'm blessed to own a publishing company, this is the part that is not salesy, but this is real of the symbiotic flows of impact that happens when you do the book. It's not just about the $20 book alone. I'm just using that as an example. It's all the things that happens, how your husband able to look at you and see like, wow, babe, you did it. You did this, what I'm saying? You stepped your game up, you got up early, you did this. It helps everyone around you. And so I want to make sure that we lead the audience with that too as well. But Brielle, before we get out of here, definitely, I'm looking at getting serious about my finances.
Mm-hmm.
Give us at least 2 or 3 things that you think that those who are listening to this, how can they benefit? Of course, go get the book. We're going to have the information, the show notes, and all that information for you get the book. But at the same time, if we can just give them a little sample or a taste of what to at least where to start,
Yep.
to start going towards their financial peace, what would you recommend for someone who's just getting started or find themselves in a mess but don't know how to get started?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about the book, and that was really my, I guess, inspiration, was really shifting the paradigm in how we in the Black community talk about money and talk about wealth. And so the first thing I encourage people to do is to calculate their net worth, because a lot of times we have been taught to, go to school, get a good job, or get good grades and then get a good job. And then we start to decorate our lives in ways to show that we have accomplished it. And when we do that, we end up investing, or I don't even know if investing really wouldn't be the right word, but acquiring what I talk about, the difference between depreciating those assets that, lose value over time versus appreciating assets. And so when we get out of the mindset of, all right, let's just, secure the bag, I'm like, no, let's keep the bag. Let's figure out how to grow the bag. Let's figure out how to maintain the bag and pass the bag down on to our kids, and so when you start thinking about your finances in terms of net worth, that is the number one thing, because most people don't know. They don't know what their net worth is. They think, all right, that's what, Rihanna, Beyonce have beef about, or whatever, who has the highest net worth. Like, we think it's for other people. We don't realize that it's for regular, everyday Americans as a measuring stick. So when we get out of the mindset of, okay, what flows to us versus what remains with us and what grows with us and what we can keep to pass down, that's number one, right? And I tell people, like, listen, it doesn't matter when you start if it's negative. We were way negative, like with student loans and everything, we were negative in the six figures negative, okay? And so it's okay when you start to be negative, but it just creates a paradigm and changes what you do. So I always say, number one, make sure you calculate your net worth. It's so important that I was like, listen, you can do that for free. You don't even have to buy the book. If you go to my website, briellemabrey.com, there's a starter kit, and you can download, it's a fillable PDF to calculate your net worth. So of course I would want you to, buy the book, but if I can get a whole bunch of Black Americans to just calculate their net worth and create that awareness and start thinking about their finances from that perspective, then that makes me really happy. And so then, the second thing I really get into is budgets and how budgets build wealth. And so really maintaining an eye for how you're budgeting, using budgeting as a tool, and just really like digging into your numbers and paying attention to your budget and how you spend money from the mindset of, all right, am I spending all my money on depreciating assets, or am I spending my money on appreciating assets? And literally from a month basis, whether you get a highlighter, whether you get the letter D or A and go down your spending, just starting to pay attention to that. And then the third thing is really money mindsets. The book is broken down into four sections. And one of the sections we really get into mindsets, because it is really, really important that we understand the messages that we are taught about money, and whether positive, negative, otherwise, but that we examine them, that we don't just hold them, we don't just like implement them mindlessly, that we pay attention to the messages, whether it's from culture, whether it's from TV, whether it's from family. We all are operating out of mindsets around money. And I think it's important, to examine those. And so that's really, I guess, obviously there's like a whole bunch of other stuff in between. We go in on student loans, we go in on credit scores, we go in on leveraging insurance, we go in on, the not just insurance, like life insurance, but medical insurance and how to leverage HSAs. I wanted it to be like beyond just, okay, we're struggling paycheck to paycheck, which some of us are, that's real, right? Like more month than money, like that was definitely my childhood story. But I also wanted something for, middle class Black Americans, and some intermediate strategies, right? Or if you're at that point where you're trying to figure out paycheck to paycheck and you're not going to always be there, at some point, with the right decisions, it's going to flip. But are you going to have the right information at that time to ensure that it flips for long term? And so those are some of the things that we get, into in the book. And obviously I have learned that I can talk about that ad infinitum. But yeah, so those are some, the three key takeaways I would say are just like calculate your net worth, understand that budgets are your friend, budgets build wealth, and 3, examine your money mindsets.
I tell you, you don't know what you don't know. And so just like for those who are tuned into this, that information right there alone, that trifecta or whatnot of calculating your net worth, understanding that your budget is your friend, and also the money mindset. There are limiting beliefs that you have that you don't even know that you have because you can have it in your subconscious. So it's something that you've heard or that you saw when you was younger, that you have held on to, that you're ensnared to, and the rough part about it is that you don't even know it. Mm-hmm. And so by having someone like Brielle to be able to wake us up, to shake us as a culture, to be able to understand and have like, wait a minute, let me be conscious of this. Now that I'm conscious of it, now I can actually change that and create a new habit and wire my brain differently or whatnot compared to what I've been fed and didn't even know I was being fed. And now I'm actually implementing in my daily life. We're so habitual and whatnot. We're creatures of habit. And so if you change those habits, guess what? You change what you do, so you change the results. So by changing the results or whatnot, now you're able to live your best life. But you wonder why you're not living your best life because you hadn't changed your mindset or had that paradigm shift. And so please go get that book, man. If you don't mind, for those who are looking at following you, want to connect with you, learn more about what you and your husband, what y'all have going on, please give them social media handles, website information. How can they connect with Miss Brielle?
Sure, absolutely. So on Instagram, you can follow me at Wisdom Then Wealth. And online, you can connect with my website. So one thing I realized in this journey is that people really like signed copies. So I set that up. So if you prefer to have a signed copy, it takes, a little bit longer, but you can purchase that on briellemabrey.com. So you can sign up there also if you want to just stay in the community and, pay attention to things that we may be doing, certain conversations every once in a while, things like that. I may have a Zoom combo, like, hey, let's talk about a chapter or something like that. So you can subscribe on the website. And if you want to get the book, if you like fast shipping, of course, you can go to Amazon and pick up the book. So that is the best way to stay connected.
And before we leave here, I do want to bring up the importance of just a business note here, because for those who know our company, we coined the phrase of when that being B squared, book to business, and knowing how to leverage that. And Bria, I think that you did an excellent job of finding your niche, or as my friends in the UK or whatnot tell me, Darren, niche. So if you create your niche, I love the way that you dealing with financial piece or you're dealing with wealth, but at the same time, you brought it to a target demographic. And I think I don't want those to miss that lesson. So if you're servicing those who are Harley Davidson fans, that's a niche right there that you can focus on. You don't have to hit all the. Can everyone benefit of those who like motorcycles? Can they drive any motorcycle besides a Harley Davidson? Yes. You focusing on the Black community or whatnot, then that's a great way for us the financial piece to it. So some of you out there, that's just a business lesson that I see that most don't understand, but being a market leader. Bria instantly made herself a market leader towards a target demographic that could benefit, that she could tailor the content. This benefit, can others benefit? Yes. Will others reach out? Yes. But by her having that audience, she separates herself. So now she's not all over the place. And when we think of wealth, and when we think of that particular community, if someone wants to have someone come on CNN or someone to deal with that or talk about that for us, their community, then all of a sudden she is the market leader in that industry. So that's a gem right there. That's a jewel right there that we've been able to get from Miss Brielle today, that you want to implement, business owners, leaders, whatever that is that you do, or even if you're in a corporate structure, by positioning yourself to be the one who knows taxes or the one who knows how to create content, that a videographer, whatever that is for you, realize that you don't have to be doing everything. And I'm not saying that you can't have multiple streams of income, but if you're all over the place, I'm looking at you as a generalist and not an expert. So if I need some help, then I'm going to reach out to the expert. Even though it might be a premium to work with the expert, I know what I'm getting. So please make sure that y'all pick up on that gem and that jewel that we've been able to get with Miss Brielle. Do you believe that? Do you have anything to add to that, Brielle, before we close it out, about the importance of being laser focused?
No, I appreciate the compliment. So thank you. But yeah, I think for me, it was, they tell you when you're doing branding or when you're looking at anything, you do a market analysis and look at what's missing. And for me, I have read a lot of the finance books that are currently on the market, and I didn't see very many finance books that also integrated the social and cultural implications of being Black, the family dynamic, the Black tax, the discrimination, the wage gap. And so for me, it was like, okay, there are foundational principles, that are universal as it relates to wealth or finance, but they're things that are specific to our Black community. So I love being able to write a book and talk about Martin or talk about crisscross or put, different lyrics or references into a book that reflects us. And I think it makes it more palatable. And you're right. People from all different cultures. I've had work colleagues who are like, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait to read your book." And I'm like, "Ooh," and they come back. Or I've had colleagues of different cultures buy it for their nieces or nephews who are college students because they realize that there's value, in the content universally. But it is really, allowed me to hone into who I am, my background. My college degrees are in African American studies and sociology. So it allowed me to take that unique perspective that is mine and just narrow it down and give it out. And I did struggle with that at first because I was like, should I just make it for millennials? Should I not? Should I? Whatever. But when I really just honed in, you're going to get a halo. And that's fine. But like you said, people know who it's for. And by being specialized, I don't know, it's just worked out really well because then it resonates different. It just hits people different. And I feel like it's a little bit more salient when you are like targeted in the way that you're, speaking to your audience.
Please pick up on that because, if I look at, and it's not knocking, I'm just sharing this with y'all because we want to help. Brielle is helping people. So you look at Brielle, I can tell that she's dealing with finances for the community, whatnot, the Black community. But if I look up 1 minute, she's talking finances for the Black community. Then I look up the next minute, she got Slim Tea. Then I look up the next minute and she's telling you about she's selling retro t-shirts. I'm not saying that she can't do it. I look up the next minute, now she's saying she's a mechanic. Look up the next minute, she says she's doing nails. I'm not saying you can't have different entities, they need to be on their own, but you can be all over the place. So please, for those listening, just like we look at credit scores and all that, you want to grow a business, but when you got 20 titles beside your name and we can't even do an introduction because we can't get out of your titles before we get started, sometimes less is best. Don't mean you can't branch out, don't mean you can't be a serial entrepreneur, but let's master one thing first before you start going into those other areas. But it's a pleasure. I gotta get you on some of my other events. I got some things that I'm going to connect with you on. Okay. It's been a pleasure and joy to be able to talk to you. Tell your husband and your kids we appreciate them loaning their wife and mama to us for the day. But we're grateful for having you on, Brielle. But I want you to share this before we close it out. Speak to that person out there. There's some millennial out there thinking to themselves, man, Brielle got it going on. Perfect situation, husband, family. She's already successful, came out the gate. I don't feel like I'm there. I see why she has something to share. So many books out there. I know I have a story I want to share, but I don't know if I should do it. Could you share to that person out there, that young brother or sister out there who thinking to themselves, they don't know if they should put their book out and share their story with the world? Could you share with them why it's important for them to share their unique story to the world?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that there is no qualification on your journey. I could have easily looked at my situation and said, well, people gonna write me off, like, okay, you got a degree, so of course making money is gonna be, easier to you. What about people who don't have a degree? There's 1,000 different reasons why you can write yourself off. But there's 1,000 different reasons why you should. Your story, what makes you is unique, right? Like sometimes I share a story when I start interviews and I ask people, well, do you know how to flush a toilet without using a handle, right? Like people be like, what? What? And I'm like, see, you get your bucket next to the tub and you fill it up and then you pour that bucket into the toilet and it'll flush. That's part of my story. That's poverty. And and the thing is that so many times people look at the end product and they don't know the process. They don't know the journey. And so people love raw, people love authentic. And that's been something that has, been a lesson for me, is because I like to show the finished product and they're like, no, people want to see the whole entire journey. And so wherever you are in your journey, people want to hear that story. They want to hear the progression. They want to hear what is going on, because the thing is that you will be so surprised at how many people share it, how many people are sharing the pain, how many people are sharing the struggle. And you could be the reason that someone breaks free, or someone, makes a different decision or a different choice. And so you never, I hope this isn't offensive, but honestly, for you not to tell your story is just really selfish. Because you're just really you're counting yourself out, and you're just saying all these reasons why you shouldn't, as opposed to just being generous with your experience and allowing it to impact someone else. So just don't be selfish, really. At the end of the day, like, your story is powerful, and it can, even if it shifted one life, one person picked it up and read it, it was absolutely worth it. So
What we say, bars. My girl Brielle hitting us with these bars in here, girl. Come on now. Come on now. Who need Hov and Tupac and Biggie when we got my girl Brielle here dropping them bars on us today? So make sure that you go get the book. Make sure that you go to our website. Information will be in the show notes. But we thank you once again for coming
thank you so
on.
much,
We're going to
Darren.
make sure that we stay connected. And also for those who are listening, remember that you all are the real MVPs. If you won't change, be the change. Until next time, be blessed and be great. And remember, this is the year for your new book. And we out.
Yay.